Having projects that you're working on at any given time will completely shift your emotional regulation. Hello, and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Jameelah, and I am a master manifester, and I'm sure you are too, because you are consuming content like this. The name of this lovely channel is Holistic Manifesting, because I believe in a whole body, whole mind, and whole being experience when it comes to manifesting these amazing lives that we are choosing to live. What I am discussing in this video is how having projects that you are working on is going to be a game changer when it comes to your emotional regulation. So I'll start with this. Some things that I used to deal with on a regular basis, like I'm talking about daily basis, hardcore anxiety. Anybody that knows me, family members, friends, you've been around me, anxiety was huge for me. I got to stop claiming stuff. Sometimes it happens like that because I'm really going back to share this memory. The anxiety that I experienced was so thick and it was so real that it was just a staple of my personality. And it was so strong that I actually believed that I was like the only person going through it. And it wasn't until I got a little bit older and I started like watching some YouTube channels and reading some books and sharing things with other people to where I realized that anxiety was something that was very common in a lot of other people, but we just get accustomed to operating in it. And that, somebody can just walk up behind you and you're like startled, like that type of angst. Like we get comfortable in that space because it's just the way we're operating. And so I can honestly say, like, all through my 20s, most of my 30s, and then in my 40s, so far I've gotten in my 40s. It was like coming in at one point and then sporadically leaving. And I'll tell you this, when you start to understand the source of things like anxiety and not being able to regulate your emotions, there is almost no way that it can creep up again without you being able to identify it when it shows up. One of the last times that I had really, really bad anxiety is when I took on a position to where I was in a very toxic work environment. And that doesn't usually happen for me. Normally I'm in places where, I enjoy the people, they enjoy me. We have this good, give and receive and exchange, and it's a beautiful ecosystem. Well, this just popped up in my life and I found myself holding on to it, and then I started building up with some kind of fear related to it because I saw the abundance coming from it. But then I had to tell myself that I don't want that kind of abundance and I have to be willing to let it go. But during the time that I was working through those feelings, and it was really just scarcity, feeling like, okay, if I let this go, then what about the extra for this? And what about I just wanted that extra, and it was right in my face and it was reliable, blah, blah, blah. And I wanted to have it. But through it's like all money ain't good money. People say that all the time, right? But I could feel myself having scarcity, feeling like this was the only way that it can come through because this was the one that was right in my face. So like every day that I had to go into this environment or connect with these people, I had really bad anxiety. And if you know anything about it, like I couldn't eat. I was barely sleeping on my own. I was taking sleeping pills every single night. And when I noticed this was going on for like a solid month, I was like, you can't go back to this life. So that's what I mean by it was sporadic, right? So the emotional regulation part comes in to where we have so much going on in our brains. We have so much going on in our energy. Our mind is going from here, there. It's thinking about things that didn't happen. It's thinking about things that already happened, right? Because that's what anxiety is, reaching too far into the future and digging back into the past. If you're in the present moment, anxiety wouldn't even exist, right? But in those moments, what truly pushed me through was having somewhere to focus all of that brain power on, having somewhere to put that energy into. And so that's where it'll come from. Sometimes I've written projects or books and, books that I published already in the past. And one of the biggest times that I can learn why I didn't have anxiety, why I wasn't dealing with anger or depression or any of those things or frustration on a regular basis is because I had some type of project to put my time and energy into. If we don't have somewhere to put that mind into, like our mind is so powerful. It's like a supercomputer. Like there aren't even computers that can do what our minds do. yet. I'm not saying that it will never happen, but yet. Like the way we think about things, how we approach problem solving. Like, the greatest scientists in the world do not understand fully how the brain operates, right? But if we don't have anywhere to focus that supercomputer energy on, then we start to focus it back on ourselves and in our lives and like what did happen, what didn't happen, what's going to happen, what we're afraid of, where our scarcity is going to come from, what might work out, what can't work out. We start to really, really point that powerful energy right back at ourselves, and not always in a positive way. So like if you're consumed in something, if you're working on something, people ask me, why do I do puzzles? I love doing puzzles, right? I have a new puzzle that I'm working on right now. And one of the biggest reasons is that, you put it together and then you look at it for a few days. I take a picture of it and then, the puzzle's done. But one of the biggest things that I take away from it is while I'm doing that, it's sort of like a mental meditation. It's like I get to do something joyful. I get to create this little picture. It's already there, but I get to like organize it. And like the scavenger hunt of finding the pieces is really fun too. For me, I feel like it sharpens my mind as I'm sitting there working on it. And at the same time, if I'm not working on something specific or particular in my life, it gives my brain something to do because it needs to be busy. It needs to be doing something, not just me, like any brain. So a lot of times we will smother our brain power with like eating bad foods. And then, that like fatty foods. I think I was watching a YouTube one time where they were talking about what it does to the brain cells and how it slows them down and it stops them from going into like a creative mode, right? Or we will drink something that slows us down too. Or people will smoke something that slows them down. Or they will watch something like, what they call brain rot TV or television shows or whatever. And I'm not crashing on any of that because, I think a little brain rot every now and then when it comes to watching something is okay for everyone. But like we'll do this. And then like what sugar does to your brain, right? And all of those things just work to smother those emotions and smother that energy that's sitting there needing to be expressed, needing to come out and be shared with the world in some kind of way. So one of the biggest things that I always think about whenever I'm feeling like emotionally flat or I'm feeling like, this is how I feel before I get into a depressive mode. This is how I feel before I get angry or frustrated for days at a time. This is how I feel before I get anxiety for a while, right? I always think like, what can I be working on? What can I do? What can I start to develop? Where can I focus my time and energy on? Because when you notice you're focused on those things, just like when I'm working on a puzzle or when I'm at the park doing like a long walk or something, or when I'm skating or something like that, my mind is on the task. My mind is in the present moment and is on the task at hand. Even sitting here making these videos, my mind is in the present moment. My mind is here with you. My mind is on this task. I'm not sitting here thinking about what's going to happen tomorrow, what's going to happen, because my brain has somewhere to focus the time and energy to. And I'm not caught up in what's not going to work out or what is going to work out. So even when I'm involved in things like these types of projects, I am very relaxed. I'm very easygoing. I'm very like open and receptive to like all of the beautiful things in life. And that's why some people, it really doesn't matter what it is that you're doing, as long as it's not detrimental to you in some kind of way. And people that do like, they call it retail therapy. Now I don't believe in like spending money you don't have, but I mean like just going out and looking in stores and like going through racks. I know that feeling because when you're in the store and you're doing those things, it's almost like meditative because you're so focused on the next dress or the next outfit and just looking at it to see if it's pretty, the fabric, whether it's your size, where would you wear that to? What's the price on it? Is it a bargain? All these little fun things. Your mind is not focused on what you don't have, what's not going to work, being in scarcity mindset, being in fear. You have somewhere to focus your attention. So just think about that. If you want to emotionally regulate yourself, if you want to regulate your emotions, think about what types of projects or what type of task you can get yourself involved in so that you can have a job for this supercomputer that is your brain to do. Once it has a job, it's going to leave you alone. Once it has a job, it's not going to give you mind attacks about things that don't matter. And if it doesn't have a job, it also loops in circles. And then you find yourself every 15 minutes of the day thinking about what somebody did to you and then coming back away from it, thinking about it again, and then coming back away from it. Give it a job to do. And then you can regulate the emotions that come from the thoughts that we have all day. If your thoughts are in the present moment, then you are at ease, you're relaxed, you're comfortable, right? When I'm working on a puzzle, when I'm skating, when I'm walking, when I'm writing a book, well, especially when I'm writing, when I'm doing videos, there's no emotionally unregulated aspects of me because I'm in the present moment. The present moment has all of what you need to regulate your emotions. And the biggest way to do that is give that supercomputer something to do. Anyway, I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day.